All right, so you guys have GitHub configured, I think, and you have your SSH things configured, and you're able to push and pull, and you have the upstream configured. Is that mostly true for you guys? Okay. All right, so there's just a couple of things I want to cover on Git here, and we'll revisit Git maybe a little bit later. But the last is this idea of creating branches and merging branches, and then ultimately resolving merge conflicts, which can be a hard thing to do. So, so when I am in my repository, okay, it will have something written after the name of the directory, and right now it says master, okay? And that means I'm on the master branch, okay? And you know, there's kind of a philosophy that, you know, in production environments, you don't ever make a change to something in a production environment until you know it works without errors. And if you want to try out changes, you've got to create kind of a separate testing environment, and you test out all of your changes. And similarly, on GitHub or in a Git repository, you've got your master branch, and you only push changes or commit changes to master that you know work. And in the while you're kind of messing around with things, it's encouraged that you create a separate branch, you work on those changes, and then you merge those changes back into master, okay? And so, you know, I think this was covered in your homework, but we'll just kind of review. And regarding the homework and stuff, it's you know, you're not required to, but I do encourage you to just kind of go back and review some of the things. So, you know, a lot of times when you're trying to get through the homework, you just kind of read the thing on the left. You just try to type like exactly whatever you're supposed to type just to kind of get on to the next task. And it's true, if you can do that, you can kind of speed mode, you know, a chapter in like 15 minutes or something. But I encourage you to take time, right? Like if I asked you, how do you restore an old version of the file from like a previous commit? Do you guys remember this? It's definitely in your homework, but what would you write? You write git checkout, and then you would need the hash of the old commit. So you do git checkout, the hash, you know, at least the first few letters of the hash, and then the name of the file that you want to restore, okay? So restoring old files, you can do that. But anyway, that's not what we're going to talk about today. Today we're going to talk about branching. And so you can see the names of the branches here, and it's really hard to see on this projector. But over here, there's only one branch. It just says master, okay? And so here, maybe I want to create like a branch, you know, a beta mode branch, okay? So I'm going to type in git branch. I'm going to just type the name beta, okay? And then now if I type git branch, okay, now we see we have two things listed under branch. We've got beta and we have master, and the star is next to master to indicate this is the one that we have currently checked out, okay? So then to switch, I'm going to just do git checkout beta. Okay, so now we have switched to branch beta, and on the right hand side we can see that where it used to say master, now it says beta, to indicate that we are on the beta branch, okay? So right now in my repository I only have 3 files, file 1, file 2, and file 3, and we can do things like, I'll come to file 1, and right here it says favorite classes to teach in no particular order, and then maybe I'll just say, you know, here are some changes that I propose in beta, okay? And then additional line added in beta. Okay, so I go ahead and I save that. And then over in Git, we can now check, what's the status, and it says file 1 has been modified, so we're gonna do git add basically all of our changes, and then we're gonna commit them, git commit -m, and we'll say added, I'll just say modified file 1 right here. Okay, so I'm gonna do that, and I've committed that change. And if I could check status, everything is fine. And I can again open this up, and it says here's some changes that I proposed in beta, and then I can come back and I can do git checkout master. I'm gonna slide this up higher so you guys can see. Okay, so I'm gonna do git checkout master. And if I check out master here, and if I open up file 1, it doesn't have those changes that I proposed in beta. Okay, so now we're back to kind of our the original file that we had in master. Okay, and so so while I'm in master, if I did like the changes that I have in beta, so I can go back and I can do checkout beta, and again, whenever you check out, all the files in that folder, they just change, okay? They reflect, and so now it's kind of just like switching, it's almost like switching computers or something, okay? So I'm just switching back to master, and when I open this back up, it doesn't have those things. Okay, so what I can do is I can merge those changes back into my master branch. So I like the changes that exist in beta, so I'm gonna do git merge, and so it's going to merge into the current branch that you're in. So here I'm in master, and I want to merge the stuff that's in beta. So I'm going to type in git merge beta, all right? And here we can see that all it did was it just made 2 insertions, okay? Just added those things, okay? And if I check the status, a merge automatically makes a commit, okay? When you do a merge, it automatically commits those changes from beta, and it goes into master. And so now I'm in master, and the changes that I proposed in beta now exist in master. All right? Is that okay? All right. So let me just kind of show you what can happen when you do some stuff. So here now I'm still in master, and I'm going to just make some more changes to file 1. Okay. So here are some changes that I proposed in beta. So and we're going to just say I'm going to just add a line here above it, and it says the following have been merged into master. And then now, and I'm going to just write, we have, I'm going to just say added additional lines in master, okay? And more changes in master. Okay, so here I'm working in master, and I've made these changes, and I can check the status, and it says indeed file 1 has modified, so I can git add file 1 and commit that, right? All right, so we'll just say added comments in file 1. Okay, so that's been committed to master. If I check out beta, okay, if I check out beta, it has kind of the old version here before those changes, right? And here I can check out master, and it says, do you want to reload it? And so this is what we have in master, and this is what we have in beta. Okay. All right. And so generally, when you switch back to beta, you want to kind of avoid problems. You want to kind of, so now I'm in beta, and I know changes have happened in master. I'm going to want to merge the changes from master into my beta branch. Okay. So I can do that, and it says, we've added some stuff, we deleted some stuff, and now all of those changes have been committed into my branch beta, okay? Because I'm still in beta and everything is good, okay? We run into conflicts, we run into problems when you've made changes on a branch over here, and then you've made changes and someone else made changes on the master branch or something, and both branches have changes on the same file, and when you try to merge those, that's when you run into conflicts, okay? So when you switch it back over to beta and you want to continue making changes to this, you should merge the changes from master back into beta, okay? And this is kind of how you can avoid stuff, but if you got two different branches and changes have been made to the same file on both branches, that's when we might run into a conflict. Okay, so to kind of simulate this, let's take a look at, let's just go to file 2, okay? And then so this will just be some changes made in beta. We're gonna add, I don't know. Okay, best, I don't know, best Marvel movies. Okay, what was the best one? Huh? Endgame? No. Maybe? Alright. We'll do Endgame, and then we'll do Iron Man. I don't know, I'm just writing stuff. Civil War. Okay. Alright, so this is what I've done. Okay. So I've added these things in file 2. Okay. And so let's just check. So we see file 2 has been added, changed, so we're going to add that, and then we're going to go ahead and commit that, and we'll say added Marvel movies to file 2. Okay, let's go ahead and check out master now. Okay, and then let's go ahead and open file 2 in master. Okay, master branch doesn't have anything about the Marvel movies. Okay, and let's go ahead and just do some changes made in master. And we'll say best rides at Disneyland. Okay. All right, what's the best ride at Disneyland? Space Mountain? Okay, I'm gonna write Pirates. Space Mountain's pretty good. All right. Haunted Mansion. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and do that. All right, so we're gonna save that. We'll close that. We'll do git status, and then we can see file 2 has changed. So we're going to add that change, and we're going to commit it. Added best rides at Disneyland to file 2. Okay, so we've got that. We check status. Everything is good to go, right? So in master, this is what our file 2 looks like. And then let me go ahead and do git checkout beta. Okay, and we go to beta. This is what file 2 looks like. All right. Okay, so if we try to merge beta into master, now we run into a problem. Okay, because one file, the first part is all the same, but one file has added favorite, I don't know, Marvel movies, and the other file has added best rides at Disneyland. So how are we going to do this, right? And so this creates a merge conflict. Now, on something stupid like these lists, it doesn't really matter, but right, if you've got code, if you've got some computer code, you can imagine how this is going to create some serious issues, right? So here I'm going to do a git merge. So notice I'm in master, okay? So I'm in the master branch and I want to merge the changes from my beta branch into master. So I'm going to do git merge beta, okay? And so now it says conflict, merge conflict and file 2, okay? Automatic merge has failed, fix the conflicts and then commit the result. Okay, and now we say we've got master and then it says merging, okay? And so we can see what happens when I open up file 2. Okay, we have, this is what we have, okay? Here it says head, and then there's a bar, and then here it says beta, right? So head is your current branch, the most recent commit that we have is known as our head. So we're in master branch, the most recent commit has these changes, okay? And then, and beta says this is what we want to put in, okay? And so this kind of indicates what's different between what we have in the most recent commit and what we've got going on in beta, okay? So this is, relatively easy to fix. We just have to kind of delete the characters, the lines that Git automatically adds for us, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and do that. Maybe I want to have this up here, so I'm gonna cut and paste and stuff like that. You kind of go through and you have to read through the lines and fix it, okay? And for lists like this, it's silly and it doesn't really make a difference. But you can imagine for computer code, it can become a lot harder and a lot more tedious and difficult to work with. So again, we should try to avoid the merge conflicts in the first place by kind of just making sure the work has been kind of appropriately separated, so you don't have different branches modifying the same files at the same time, or when you recognize that some files have been updated, you merge those changes accordingly. Okay, so anyway, this is how I'm going to resolve the differences between the files, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to save that. Okay, so I'm going to click save, and I've saved this, and so this is what we have currently in here. So here I'm going to go ahead and click get status, and what we have is file 2 has both been modified. And so what I'm going to go ahead and add file 2 in its current form. Okay, so after I've gone through, I've kind of fixed the changes, and this is what it looks like in its current form. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add that. Okay, and it still says we're kind of in the middle of a merge conflict, but I can check the status. All right, and it says all conflicts are fixed, but you are still merging. Okay, and so it says use git commit to conclude the merge. So right here it says you have unmerged paths, and then so we saved it and we added these files to mark the resolution, and now it says your conflicts have been fixed, but now you're still merging. And so to finally resolve the conflict, we're going to go ahead, and do a git commit, okay? And we're going to say modified file 2 to resolve merge conflicts. Okay, and now everything is good. Okay, so now no problems here. It says master. There's no merging, and this is the file as we have committed it. Okay, and then so at this point I can go ahead and I can push all of this stuff onto to GitHub. Okay, and we can see this is how it looks, okay, on GitHub, okay, and the entire history of commits, we can see all of these changes happening here. Okay. I think that's about all we're gonna do for Git. Is you guys have your remote repositories set up? Yeah, I didn't make a homework assignment out of this. I didn't feel like having to click through all of these. Not everybody has forked the repository, which is fine, but you should have your remote repository set up. You should have your computer configured to be able to talk and push changes to your remote repository on your GitHub account, and now we've covered how to restore files from previous commits and how to deal with branches. Okay, any questions, comments, anything on Git? Okay, and I think it's a good technology to learn because it's used very commonly and widely in the industrial world and academic world, and so I think it's something good to use, and I encourage you to try stuff out with a friend and see if you guys can figure out how to kind of collaborate and work together. On GitHub, the way you merge proposed changes is basically via a pull request. Okay, a pull request is basically doing a merge of branches, but with discussion. Okay, so if you got different people talking, you'll open a pull request, and people will talk about it before merging the stuff, merging the changes. But that's it's a little bit of a bigger thing. Okay. All right, let's talk about just getting some Python stuff set up on your computer, okay? And so there's all sorts of options. I've ultimately decided to go with the Anaconda Python distribution, okay? And so so what you're gonna do is you're gonna go on the internet and you're gonna search for Anaconda, okay? I think the first hit's gonna be, oh no, look at that. Okay, well, I don't know. It used to be a music video, okay? I don't know what you're pulling up on your thing, but I guess Anaconda, the world's most popular data science platform, has earned the top spot on Google's PageRank, okay? All right, so, but anyway, we got Anaconda from the snake, but that's not what we're dealing with, okay? And Anaconda, a reference to some Sir Mix-a-Lot. Okay, anyway, all right. So anyway, you go to Anaconda, and you're gonna come over to download, okay? And you're gonna get, basically, you want the version 3, okay? Python version 3, and you'll get it, the appropriate one for your computer, okay? And you'll click download. I already have this installed, so I'm not gonna go ahead and bother, okay? But, so you'll download and you will install the Python 3 version of Anaconda onto your machine, okay? And then once you do that, it's going to install a bunch of stuff, probably right here. So on my thing, you get Anaconda, and then if there's going to be a few things: Anaconda Navigator, Anaconda Prompt, Jupyter Notebook, Spider, and things like that. Okay, I recommend for Windows just to go ahead and use Anaconda Prompt, but you can use Anaconda Navigator, and it pulls up, like if you click Anaconda Navigator, it's going to see, on my computer it always takes a little while to load, and I think it's the same. I'm a fan of just using kind of the terminals or bash or whatever it might be to kind of launch things, okay? And so, and also if you have a Mac, you can just launch it via the terminal. But I always feel like if I click Anaconda Navigator, I just have to sit and wait for this thing to load up. And so being impatient, I go generally directly to Anaconda prompt, which opens up generally much faster. Okay, but Anaconda Navigator will open up this, and you can launch any of these things like Jupyter Notebook and stuff like that. Okay. But for me, I like just Anaconda prompt. If you're on a Mac, you can just open up a terminal window, right? And then and you will type in Jupyter Notebook. Okay, Jupyter is spelled Jupyter. Okay, and it's actually I don't know. It's like a play on words, combining the names of 3 languages. There's Julia, Python, and R. Okay, so Jupyter Notebooks are compatible with those 3 languages. So we're going to create notebooks in Python for this class, but if you want to, you can also create notebooks in R as well. Okay. Okay. So anyway, you just type in Jupyter Notebook, and it runs a local web server on your computer, and it kind of pulls up the file system here. In our case, I'm going to navigate down to my 131 2019 fall folder, and we can create a new Jupyter Notebook. Okay, so again, the way this is going to work is you're going to go to the Anaconda website, download the Python 3 thing, install it. It'll take a little while to install because it's got all sorts of stuff, and then you will launch Jupyter Notebook. Okay, and you do that by typing into the prompt Jupyter space notebook. Okay. Does anyone already have Anaconda installed on their machine? Okay, a few of you. All right, and you guys, how do you launch Jupyter Notebook? Huh? The terminal, and you just type in Jupyter Notebook as well. Okay, yeah, I think that's the recommended and fastest way to get it launched. And after you type that in, it generally will just pop your browser open. Okay. Okay, and then so once you have it, once it's running here, you can start a new notepad. You can create a new Python 3 notebook. Okay. Now there's all sorts of ways to interact with Python. Okay. There is you have just the interactive prompt. Okay, and you can interact with Python that way. You can run an IDE, kind of like RStudio, and there's a whole bunch of them out there. Probably the ones that are recommended are Visual Studio from Microsoft. It's compatible with Python, and then another one that's popular is Spider. Okay, and Spider looks a lot like RStudio, and so if you want that familiarity, you can do that. I think just using the Jupyter Notebooks are perfectly adequate for interacting with Python. Okay, as far as from a data science perspective, okay, a data analysis perspective. Okay, so all I'm going to do is I'm going to click New, and then click New Python 3. Okay, and this will create and launch a Jupyter Notebook. All right, and so this is very much like similar to working with RMD files from all of those 1 or 2 classes and things like that, where you can have code and you can write text and kind of keep everything in line. And that's why I think it's really good for data analysis, because in data analysis you often have to switch between explaining what you're doing and why you did this, and adding commentary to pictures and graphs, and along with the chunks of code necessary to do the analysis and the chunks of code necessary to produce graphs, and then switch to kind of adding commentary, right? And so here, this is what the notebook looks like, right? If you're gonna write a game, okay, then the notebook is not going to be the tool to use, right? So if you want to write a tic-tac-toe game in Python or something, you're going to write a script. Okay, you're going to write a script, and you're going to run that inside probably your interactive shell or something like that. But anyway, here is Python, and we can start by doing the most simplest of commands. We can just type in print parentheses, and we can say hello world, right? This is the whoops. Okay, so this is print hello world, and then at this point, it's just this, and to execute it, all right, you can hit Command Enter or Control Enter, okay, and it does exactly what we told it to do, and it prints out hello world. So when you tell it to print something, this is the output that it produces. Okay, so that is our first cell that we have created. So in a notebook then, if you want to add a cell, you come over here, you click this plus button, and you click add a cell, okay? Now there's keyboard shortcuts, so you don't always have to be switching back to your mouse to keep clicking the plus button, okay? When you are in, you'll notice that this color is blue right now, and then when I click inside the cell, it's going to change colors to green, okay? So when you are editing inside the cell, it's going to be green, and then when you click away, it becomes blue, okay? So from the keyboard, okay, to switch into edit the cell mode, you just hit enter, and you can edit lines here. And then to switch out, you can hit escape, okay? So when you are in blue mode, you can use the letters A or B to add cells. A will add a cell above, and you can use the up and arrow down and arrow keys to go around. And B will enter a cell below, okay? You can also, instead of using the up and down arrows on your keyboard, you can also, while you are in blue, this is called command mode, you can also use the letters J and K to go up and down, okay? J and K will also go up and down, and that saves you half a second of having to move your hand away from the home row down to the arrow keys, right? Because this is it's designed by computer programmers who said, oh my gosh, I don't want to have to move my hand to the arrow keys. That's annoying. Okay, I just want to keep my hands on the home row and just use J and K. But it's convenient, right? And I use that all the time, okay? And then if you want to add more cells below, you just hit B. You can keep moving up, right? So here I'm going to come to the next cell. I'm going to hit enter to enter it. And then and I can do x equals 10, okay? So the assignment in Python is using the equal sign, right? And then I can do x star x, okay? And then I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna hit Control Enter, all right? And it gives me out to 100, okay? So here's something interesting. This one did not get an out, but this one did, okay? So the print command is known as what we call a fruitless function, okay? There's fruitful functions and fruitless functions. So in R, when you had a function, there's always a return value, right? And similarly in Python, functions generally have return values, okay? You do something and it returns a value, and you can store that value and do stuff with that value that's returned, right? But the print, it does not return a value, or technically returns the value none, okay? Which is like the null object, but it's the none object in Python. So if there's no actual value being returned, so it's not captured in what we call an out, okay? This is a notebook, so if you don't want to have code, well, okay, so if you want to have comments, you just use the pound sign, the hash mark, whatever you call it, and you can say this is a comment. Okay? And then here's a trick. Instead of hitting Control Enter, if you hit Shift Enter, or it will automatically run this and then add a cell right below it, okay? Shift enter, okay? So here it ran this line of code, which is, this is a comment, so it does nothing, and then it automatically gives me a cell here, okay? I might want to add comments, not comments, or like just commentary or something, but I don't want to write comments as code, okay? Like if I want a headline or something, okay? So I can switch into command mode, all right? So now it's blue, and there's a few choices. You can switch from code to Markdown, and it will switch to Markdown, and you can switch it back to code. But again, I highly recommend when you start working with Jupyter Notebooks, my first encouragement is see how much you can do without ever touching the mouse, okay? Because you will get faster. In the beginning, it's gonna be so slow, right? Because you're like, I just wanna use the mouse and click these menu buttons, okay? But force yourself not to use your mouse or trackpad, okay? And learn the keyboard shortcuts, okay? So if I wanna switch to Markdown, I have to be in not edit mode, so I can't be green, but I have to switch to command mode, and I'm gonna type the letter M, okay? And M will switch me to Markdown mode, and then now I can hit enter here, and I can write text in Markdown, and it gets rendered as regular text, not as code, not as a comment, but as text, okay? Shift enter adds another cell. Again, I'm gonna hit escape to switch to command mode. I'm gonna hit M to switch to Markdown. And then, if you wanna write headings in Markdown, you can use the #. This is heading level 1. 2 is heading level 2, okay? And then this is bullet list item 1, item 2, item 3, okay? And then when you hit Shift, Control Enter, or Command Enter, or whatever, it renders it appropriately as Markdown text, right? And then similarly, so to add another cell, I hit B below here, B for below, A for above. I'm going to switch again to Markdown mode, okay? And then you can even have LaTeX, right? So you use the $, and you can say f of x is equal to integral from t equal to negative infinity to x of t dt or something, I don't know. And you can enter stuff like that. Okay, so very similar to dealing with R Markdown, in that you can kind of mix your stuff, except it all appears in these cells. Okay. If you've switched a cell to Markdown and you want to switch it back to code, the letter is Y. Okay, so you've got M for Markdown and Y for code. I'm not quite sure why it's Y, but it is. Okay, and so as code, you can go back and you can start dealing with stuff. So we can do Y is range 0, 10, okay, and then we can ask print Y. I'm sorry, maybe I don't want that. We'll do list Y, and then we'll do that. Okay, and we haven't talked about this yet, but we'll talk about doing code in Python via the Jupyter Notebook here. Okay, there's quite a bit. Let me. I will link to the Jupyter cheat sheet. Okay, there's. Okay, I got to find the one that I like. Okay, but there's quite a few. Data Camp has one, which is decent, and then there's another one that just shows you how you can use the Jupyter Notebook efficiently. Okay. But yeah, I'll link to this. But again, you know, you're not going to have your first homework assignment in Jupyter Notebooks for a little while. But my encouragement would be try to do as much as you can without touching the mouse. Okay, and this will it's going to be frustrating at first, but it will make you stronger. Okay, a stronger, I don't know, programmer. Okay, for real. The less you have to move your hands, right? There's a few other things also. As you work, every time you run a cell, okay? So here we can see it says N1, N2, N3, N4, N6, and I messed something up, so I ran it again. And then later, if I come back here and I run this again, it just keeps counting N7, and if I do this, and the ins and the outs kind of change. Okay, now we might look at this, and if you're you know, concerned about if stuff like that bothers you, right? Like some people they want to see all the numbers in a row, they want to see all the things in a row, right? Sometimes, you know, stuff like this might bother you. What you can do is you can come back up to here to kernel. And these things are all very useful, okay? Sometimes you've done something stupid and you break the thing, okay? And you need to kind of restart it, okay? And so one is it will restart, and it's gonna just restart the thing, but it doesn't reset anything, okay? So there's a, but if I restart here and if I run this cell, okay? If I hit Control Enter or something, we can see it restarts at 1, okay, and then the next cell will be 2, okay. So that's one thing. Another thing is I can just do restart and clear output, and it's going to clear all the output here, okay. And so we can see there's no output. It doesn't show any of the print or the result of x times x or anything like that, okay. And that's fine. And then what's also helpful is to do restart and run all. So it's going to restart everything, and then it's going to run through all the cells in order. Okay, and restart and run all is very useful because if you have an error, it's going to crash. Okay, when you do restart and run all, and if there's an error somewhere in your code, you're going to find that error. You're not going to be able to finish the thing. It's going to stop somewhere along the way. And then you can try to debug that particular cell to figure out what's going on. So it goes sequentially, and it goes through all of this. Let me see what else I need to do. Oh, and then the other part is I think it generally auto saves every so often, but you can always just click save or Control S, and that will save. I'm going to rename to just I'm going to call this 0102 in class, just to say that this is what we did in class, and then I'm going to go ahead and save that. And then when you close it, okay. Don't just click the X, okay? If you just click the X, what you'll see is that in your server over here under running, it's going to have these notebooks that are still running, okay? What I always recommend is you do File, Close, and Halt. And when you click Close and Halt, it closes the notebook, and it stops that process from running. Okay. Otherwise, it's running in the background, even though it doesn't have a window open in your browser. It's still running in the background of your computer, and it's using up resources. Okay. It might be occupying chunks of memory and things like that. And you know, you can run multiple, and then to just kind of start it back up, you click this and do all of that. Okay. You know, if you're interested, you can look up online. You can look up installing the R kernel for Jupyter. Okay. By default, I think it only has the Python one, but you can also install the R kernel for Jupyter, and you can run your R code there as well. Okay. So we'll just, I guess we'll just pause here for now, and then on Friday we'll start looking at interacting with Python, I guess for real. Okay. All right. We'll end there, and we'll see you guys on Friday.